I love growing our own salad greens and cooking greens, but one of the things I was really frustrated by when I was a new gardener is how much work it would take to clean the greens after they got into the kitchen, until I discovered this really great method of growing greens. Super easy, super straightforward, and it keeps them super clean, so they're easy to use in the kitchen. Let's go check it out. Here we are in the succession beds in the terraced garden. And so this is where we plant a new section of greens every single week throughout the season. That way we have greens all season long. We plant cooking greens and salad greens like lettuces here in the section. But you can see right here, we have what we call a cut-all bed. We learned this method originally from gardener Carolyn, and it was an absolute game changer. You can see when you look at this that this is super densely planted. Like, this is a really tight here. This is a seed mix from Baker Creek Seed called the Dragon Stir Fry Mix. We absolutely love this for this method. And it's great because when you grow them this closely, one, they're super fast growing plants. So that means they grow up and they crowd out any weeds before they have a chance to take root. The other thing that growing your greens this way, this densely, does for you is it helps to keep your greens up and out of the dirt, which is just absolutely amazing. But the third thing it does is it makes it really easy to harvest. All I have to do is I come out here and I just start cutting. And I just take my scissors, I cut off the top, and I literally chop this right into my basket so that when I get into the kitchen, it is all ready to go entirely straight into a pan or straight into a salad bowl, depending on what it is. This has saved so much time. I absolutely love it. One thing I like to do is when I'm cutting these, I like to cut at the place where the leaf really starts. So you have a lot of leaf and not as much stem, so you don't end up with a lot of stemmy parts. And the good thing about that is that this will grow back at least one other time. So I'm gonna get at least one more round of cutting this. I also like to cut in strips and then leave a strip and cut in another strip. So I allow some things to grow up really big while I'm harvesting other things while they're a little bit smaller. And then you can alternate those rows where you're harvesting the next time you come out, and it gives you just a great harvest of a lot of greens. Okay, let's go plant one of these beds. Early in the season, I like to come out here and mark out my beds, my succession beds, before I even start planting. So you can see I've got a little bed that's defined by onions on this side and onions on that side. I give myself about 5 feet per week that I want to harvest, which for us, it works out pretty well. For you guys, that might be way too much space. You could probably do a lot smaller. So now, since everything's already been marked out, all I have to do is come in and just rake it up a little bit, get it smoothed out, make sure no weeds have started to grow in it, and pull those. Now I'm ready to go ahead and plant. Let's talk about what types of plants, what types of greens do really good in this situation. Today, I'm gonna be planting an entire bed of cilantro because we really like cilantro, and this method works really well. But it also works super well for all sorts of greens. I already showed you the Dragon Stir Fry Mix from Baker's Creek. I also like upright lettuces, leaf lettuces. Make sure you don't do anything heading. Any fast growing green that is non-heading is perfect for this. So mustards can be really good. Some kales work out great because they're faster growing than others. Most of the time though, things like spinach is just a little bit too slow growing. Same thing with Swiss chard. So you want to stick with the really quick growing things so you don't end up dealing with a lot of weeds. You can see that I'm just taking my yardstick and I'm just creating lines just a couple inches apart, right on down in the soil. Here I've got my home saved seed from cilantro. I love having my own seeds on hand that I've grown right here because I know that they're best suited to our location. Now I'm just gonna sprinkle lightly throughout my lines, trying not to let them clump too much. This is a very non-exact process, and there is no reason to come back through here and to thin these. So if they get in there a little bit thick, that's okay. It's just gonna help them stay upright in the growing process, and we're gonna harvest them pretty young. We don't need to worry about it if it's a little bit clumped. That's another time saver, not thinning. And now I'm just gonna go through and lightly cover them back up. After this, all they need is a good watering and then to be kept moist until they're ready to harvest. And you guys, that is so easy. You see that 5 feet of greens in just a couple minutes, and this is gonna feed our family a ton of food. So don't wait to start gardening. You can absolutely jump in. It is not too late this summer to jump in and start doing something like this. You only need a few feet of ground. You could even do this right over your driveway concrete. If you just lay down some good dirt, some potting soil and compost mix, you could absolutely do this exact same thing right there. You don't need anything fancy, anything, special in order to be able to garden. You just need to get out there and give it a try. And hey, if you want another really easy gardening tip, check out Josh's video right here on easy practical compost.